I wonder if I could tee up a driver, hit it over Bluff Road, and see if I could land it in Williams-Brice Stadium.
Ryan sneaks from behind the pile and is right in the middle of my way, and I he puts his hands up and he starts backing up. Stop! He's been tackled. He's been tackled.
And I remember Pat being like, "Oh no, that's our due date." And I was like, "So what are you gonna do?" I'm actually surprised that Pat is still having me on the podcast after that.
All right, we're sitting here. Tailgate Talks with DeMarco Garcia. This is third episode of 2025, and man, we're off to a hot start. But you know who is not? Are all these guesses for our guest? Man,
They've been hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious.
this one was tough. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant ended up being very relevant. He won a Super Bowl, played 13 years in the NFL, had a heck of a career, played with the GOAT Tom Brady. So, yeah, Ryan Succop, as in our hint was he's 6'3", 220, and everybody's like, oh, what linebacker, DN, tight end?
Yeah.
Like, what stud is going to be in this picture? And
Yeah, I had a bunch of people, as you saw the comments, and a lot of people thought it was, Jasper Brinkley or one of the Lindsey twins.
yeah,
I saw the Zach Brandeis on there. I mean, he made a appearance.
yeah. That's
So,
funny.
I mean, that was great. But yeah, I mean, that was such a fun interview with him and hearing some of the backstories. I mean, we all knew that he was a giant prankster, but
Yeah.
to hear some of those stories up in Kansas City, and that was unbelievable.
No, I mean, he had a great career here at Carolina and then went on to be Mr. Relevant, played a long time in the NFL, and had a lasting impact on everybody he played with, including us. So I know the fans are really going to enjoy this episode. This one's very entertaining, very fun. I mean, stories all over the place, from playing with Tom Brady to stirring up Kansas City, like putting the place in commotion. This is a really fun one.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. That was fun, and I don't know if we talked to him, off the camera, and we're gonna try to plan something up in Columbia next year for a
Yeah.
couple games, man. That would be awesome to prank some people around there.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, make sure if you like our show, if you listen to our show, if you're a loyal Tailgate Talk listener, make sure you like us on all social medias. Make sure you go and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple. You can find it on Gamecock Plus. You can find it on Chief Sports Network. I mean, we are available everywhere. So make sure you let us know how you're liking the show and what you want to hear more of. We want to get you guys engaged, just like we did in the last episode down in Orlando with the Tailgate. So a lot of cool things coming in 2025. But make sure you like, subscribe, follow. YouTube's coming, so
Yep.
Be on the lookout.
Yep, got a big 2025 coming at us, folks.
All right, starting with Ryan Succop, Mr. Irrelevant. Y'all enjoy.
Cheers.
We got Mr. Succop, man, from old Hickory, North Carolina. Now you're living in Nash Vegas, as they call it, right?
Yeah, man, Nashville.
How different is that from, I mean, East Quad?
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
We'll get right into it.
Yeah, it is a little different than East Quad. Not because the city's a lot different, but just here I have my kids waking me up at like 2 a.m. if they get worried or get scared or something. And at East Quad, I had Steven Garcia coming in at about 2 a.m. blaring music waking me up. So it's really about the same, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
and you've been babysitting since 2006.
Yeah, Coach Spurrier.
2007.
See, a lot of people don't realize that me and Garcia lived together. Coach Spurrier knew what he was doing. He thought, hey, this kid from Tampa, he's super talented. He's going to be a heck of a quarterback. We need to put him around a couple model citizens. So naturally, he, put him with me and Beecher and Taylor and Pat. We did all we could do. We did all we could do.
He handed him off to me, and I'm like, what did you guys do to him?
Listen, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, Pat. And we did our best, buddy.
Oh man, those are the days, man. Do you ever talk to Smelly and Beecher and Taylor and any of those guys?
From time to time, not a ton. Still talk to Smelly a little bit. Beecher every now and again. He was trying to get together. I think it was for like a Letterman's golf thing a couple of years back. Couldn't make it happen. Just a little tied up with stuff. But yeah, from time to time, still connect, and looks like everybody's doing great.
Yeah. I talked to Beecher probably the most. Talked to Taylor Rank every blue moon on Facebook. He'll like send me a DM or something.
Yeah.
Smelly, I talked to him. I mean, you saw what happened with him with the little
Golly, that
life
was
scare that he
scary.
had.
Dude, so actually, there's a couple guys I live with in Nashville. One of them's from Mobile, or that I'm buddies with in Nashville, and he's from Mobile. And he knew of like when that whole thing was going on, we were getting like live updates because he knew he had a connection to somebody that was in with the Coast Guard and all that. Dude, we were scared to death, man. That was like an awful 10 or 12 hours, however long that was. I mean,
Yeah,
don't
I
wish that on
remember
Yeah.
I
anybody, man.
texted you, Ryan, because I mean I was following it too, and I knew that you were roommates with him, and you kind of, we talked and shared prayers and all that,
Yeah.
trying to, I'm glad everything everything was fine. He just took a little detour. But
Yeah, it was I know it was. Gosh, we were praying for him. Amazing how that story worked out. You know that boat that found him? It wasn't there a story like the boat that found him was a guy from Tuscaloosa that they had known? Wasn't there some kind of
yeah, there
connection
was
There,
there at
something
the end?
cool that
there
was tied
was,
into it.
there
Yeah,
was. I can't remember what it was, but I remember hearing about it from Jerry Spurrier texting me.
yeah,
She's like, "Hey, I don't know if you've heard, but Chris Smelly's been, missing for X amount of hours." I was like, "Holy hell!"
yeah. That
Yeah,
no, and Trey, you guys remember Trey Crable? Trey and I are still good
yeah,
buddies from South
Yeah,
Carolina, and he was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm texting Josie, and he's texting Josie while it's going on, and we're kind of keeping up with it. And dude, that was like a long 12 hours or however long
yeah,
that was, man. Amazing how it worked out, but whew, that was awful.
yeah. No, it's
yeah.
crazy. All right, well let's jump in a little more to your experience at Carolina. Like, tell us about your recruiting. I mean, you like could have played tight end, quarterback, running back, safety. You had landed on kicker. You punted, kicked, did kickoffs. You did, I mean, everything special teams. But tell us how you ended up at South Carolina. You were a scholarship guy. That wasn't a normal thing for kickers back then.
Yeah, had come out of high school, I actually committed to Lou Holtz. So got recruited by Lou Holtz. I committed to Holtz, and then like a week after I committed, he retired, and Coach Spurrier came in. And right at that time, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was '04. Auburn had gone undefeated. They went 13-0, but
Yep.
they didn't play in the national championship because the other USC and Oklahoma also went undefeated,
Oh
and so
yeah,
they played the national championship. And so right when Holtz retired, Auburn offered me, and they were like number 3 in the country, and I was about to take a visit to Auburn. And I'll never forget it. Coach Spurrier found out about that. He flew up to my hometown, Little Hickory,
yeah,
North Carolina. I picked him up in my in my old truck that I'd had for forever. I picked him and Steve Spurrier Jr. up at the airport, brought him to the house, had a great visit. Ended up just making a lot of sense for me to go to Carolina, and obviously that was a really good decision for me. So that's how I ended up at Carolina. Had a great 4 years, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
yeah. I mean, were you highly recruited? Did you have many? I mean, Auburn came in late, but did you have a bunch of offers on the table coming out? I know you could play golf in college. Like, you had plenty of options.
Yeah, had it's kind of different probably than a lot of position. The kicking position is a lot different because most schools, they're going to offer a receiver every year or corners
Mhm.
every year. With kicker, a lot of times they're only going to offer one every 4 years type of thing because
Mhm.
they don't want too many on
Yeah.
scholarship. So I wouldn't say that I had a ton of offers, but I definitely had some options. Had some options in the SEC. And then yeah, like kicked around the idea. I mean, I love playing golf, love playing other sports, and I don't know that I was good enough to do that at a really high level, but
Yeah. I don't know.
um,
I don't know, man. I remember seeing
Debatable.
you hit some golf balls.
well, you're comparing that to seeing DeMarco hit golf balls, so it's not you
Damn, throw
know.
me under the bus. Hey, I mean,
Yeah,
I've hit
catching
it past you a
strays.
time or two. I've hit it past you a time or two.
Pat can play, especially for a fullback. Man, I got to give him a hard time, but he
Well,
really
I
does have
actually
it.
have to practice. You just around all day.
Well, Pat. I mean, you remember we're sitting at practice, and the special teams guys would go to the stadium, and they're just practicing their golf swing. I'll never forget seeing that
Yeah.
Hey Garcia,
with
what you
Ike
don't
Crowfoot and them.
realize, I used to go out and kick during the summertime before season would start. I'd kick on that practice field.
Mm.
And every year I was always sitting there at practice going, man, I wonder if I could tee up a driver, hit it over, is it Bluff Road that runs right by the stadium?
Yeah.
Hit
Yeah.
it over Bluff Road and see if I could land it in Williams-Brice Stadium. And finally, I was like going into my senior year and I was like, all right, this is enough. I've thought about this at every football practice that I've been at for the last 3 years. So I went out to kick at like 7 o'clock. It was before training camp started. Nobody was out there. I brought my driver and like 10 golf balls. And the first one I hit a little low and I hit it right into the back of the about that wall behind the end zone that's really tall with stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it into that. Not sure where that golf ball ended up. So I realized I had to hit a little bit of a high cut, teed up the next one, got it onto the stadium, and I just heard it pinging around in the bleachers. And then, sure enough, I hit like 3 or 4 more, and I went in there, and like 2 of them landed on the field. And
Wow.
I found the golf balls. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else has ever done that, but I have definitely done
Oh,
that.
I mean, I think you're
That's
the
how
only
it's
one in the history of Carolina athletics that's ever done that.
Well, there you
They
go.
would be
At
allowed to
least,
do that too.
what's that?
They would be allowed to do that too.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, not
Garcia,
like
you of anybody know it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I was not allowed to do this.
1,000%.
I mean,
Okay.
as impressive as that is, you hit it far, but like you didn't have to be crazy accurate. You had 120 yards of fairway. I mean, so don't toot your own horn too much. It's not like you were hitting like having to maneuver this thing. It was just you were long drive style, just booming it
High cuts, high buttercuts, Pat.
right in the middle of the
Right in the
But
middle of
Ryan,
the
I
field.
mean, I'll tell you what, man, a lot of people don't give kickers a lot of credit for being like athletes. I mean, hell, we played intramural basketball together. I mean, I saw you hit golf balls before. We just talked about that. I saw you pumping 110-pound dumbbell press with a Gordomaker.
Yep.
Like, I mean, the guy's a freaking freak of athlete of
He ain't your
freak
average
athlete, man.
kicker, people. He ain't your
No,
average kicker.
Well,
no. I mean, what do you contribute that to? Like, you obviously have played other sports in high school, right?
yeah, you guys are kind. I need to come on this podcast more often if I'm feeling, if I'm a
If you're
little
feeling
down or
down.
something. I just need to come. I need to come hang out with you guys for a little bit. But no, yes, honestly. So I played. I kind of grew up playing everything except football, to be honest with you. So I played basketball, baseball, golf, and soccer. I got to high school my freshman year, and my high school soccer coach in North Carolina, soccer and football were both in the fall. And my high school soccer coach was like, "Hey, you need to go kick for the football team." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that. Like, I got basketball in the winter. I'm going to play baseball and golf in the spring. That's enough." And I told him no 2 or 3 times. And finally, the week of the first game, my freshman year, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I told the football coach that you're going to go to practice today and you're going to kick." And that was on Tuesday, and the first game was on Friday. And he was like, "When you're a high school freshman and your coach tells you to do something, you say yes, sir. You go do
Right.
it." And so I went down to football practice on Tuesday. Kicked, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun." Like I'd kind of messed around doing it on the side, but it was pretty similar to kicking a soccer ball. And sure enough, they were like, "Hey, you're suiting up on Friday." And I went to my first game on Friday, and I had no idea how to put all the knee pads and thigh pads and butt pads. And I'm literally asking my buddy, like, "Dude, I've never done this. Where's all this going?" I'm about to play in my first varsity game, and that's kind of how I fell into it. So kind of played a lot of stuff other than football growing up, but yeah, I was that kid, loved playing everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's what all the guys that we've interviewed have said. All the guys that went on to play, in the NFL or at a high
Three to
level in
four
college.
sports growing up, 2 to 3 different ones in high
Yeah.
school. And I mean, it's so
Yes.
important.
And that's what drives me crazy about, not to get off on stuff, but like you guys have kids. It drives me crazy, man. Some of the like my oldest is just 9 years old, and there's kids around here that are already like
Hyper
doing one
focused.
sport all the time. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I just think it's a disservice to the kids. Anyway, different.
no, it 100% is, Ryan. We can talk about it. I mean, that's what I do. I'm a personal trainer for quarterbacks out here, and I'll have these parents that are like, "Yeah, my kid's 8 years old," and I'm like, "That's pretty young." So I'll ask the kid, "Hey, when you turn 9?" They're like, "9? I turned 7 in 3 months," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"The hell are you doing out here,
Yeah.
man? Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you be like, can you even wipe your own ass? Like, what are you doing?" But and then I tell these parents like, let them play basketball, let them play baseball. Like, you're gonna ruin this kid's experience playing football if it's all football all year round. You got to play other sports. So
No
I'm glad you
doubt.
said that.
Yeah.
No
I
doubt.
mean, Ryan, when you got into like high school, I mean, as a freshman, you come in and you kick for varsity. Like, obviously, you were naturally pretty talented at it. I mean, when you saw success and kind of the recruiting started to happen, is that when you hired like a, special kicking coach? Did you have a special kicking coach? Did you just teach yourself? Like, what was the process of like learning that? It is a pretty specific skill.
Yeah, great question. Honestly, no. So it's so different now than it like I see kids kind
Yeah.
of what you're talking about, Steven, that are training with coaches, and I think that's awesome. Like you want to go ahead and chase something, like absolutely. And like kids are better. Like kickers are better now than they were 20 years ago. Quarterbacks are better now than they were. You know what I mean? It just continues to improve. There's no doubt. But No, for me, like honestly, I kind of realized that the Lord had given me a gift to kick a ball. I thought it was something if I worked at, maybe I'd have a chance to go do it in college, and I probably never thought further than that. But um, yeah, I really never had a coach. I went to a couple of camps, tried to pick up a couple things, but honestly, a lot of it was just kind of swinging my swing and sort of figuring out, hey, what works, what doesn't. Um, and honestly, it was kind of nice because it kept things pretty simple for me.
Yep.
I wasn't one of those guys that was thinking about a million things out there. I was just kind of going out there and
Right.
kicking, and that
Just
I
go
think,
kick it through the uprights. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's make it easy.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, like, what was? Give us some of your like favorite memories of kicking in Carolina.
Man, yeah, I had a few. One, I mean, just playing at Williams-Brice is awesome, right? Like we all know how special that place is.
Mhm.
I actually had a chance to speak to the team this past season when they played here in Nashville and when they were playing Vanderbilt. And one of the
Oh,
things I
that's
was talking
cool.
about is like, hey, playing at Carolina, like you got to realize what that means and how special that is. I was fortunate to get to play in the NFL a long time, and without fail, like every year there'd be a new guy, a new teammate on my team that would come up and, he realized I played at South Carolina and they were always like, man, that is the loudest place I've ever played. Or
100%. Yeah.
y'all's fans are unbelievable. Like that student section at night you know, when they play the music and all that. And I don't know, just realizing how special that place is, and, cherishing that. So I would say that was pretty cool. As far as like particular moments, I remember, hitting a kick. I think it was my sophomore year. We went up to Clemson, and it kind of came down to, a field goal late in the fourth quarter, and we make one, they miss one, and getting to win that game 31-28. That's something I always remember. Just what
Yep.
that Clemson game means. Going down to Georgia, winning at Georgia
Yep.
was special. Yeah, I don't know, just having opportunities like that are pretty cool.
Yeah. Were you, I mean, going through some workouts, I mean, usually you specialists like are in your own little world, like almost all the time. You're like almost like segregated from the rest of the team at times. Tell us about, being a specialist, you know, on a football team. I remember like Parker White, when I worked at the university, I mentioned to him, like, hey, you've been here 5 or 6 years. Like, what's your relationship like with, guys in other position groups? And he's like, nah, really just hang out with the kickers and punters and the specialists. Like we kind of do our own thing. And I was like, dude, that's a shame. But I mean, I wouldn't say that's far off. I mean, UFC had quarterbacks as roommates. Taylor Rank was a running back. But tell us about kind of like the specialist group during your time here. Bunch of special
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of a fraternity, right? Like you spend a lot of time with your position group, whether you're a quarterback, a tight end, a fullback, a kicker, a punter, whatever it is. Like you kind of get close with the guys, and yeah, like our group for sure. Like we can't go out there and I can't go out there and kick for 2.5 hours at every practice. Like that's not going to be beneficial.
No.
I always kind of reference it. I always say like we're pitchers. We're kind of
Mhm.
like pitchers. Pitchers can't go out and throw every day. I couldn't go out and kick every day. So yeah, you kind of have a little more time to have a little more camaraderie. You come up with some games. You come up with, trying to figure out if you can hit a golf ball into Williams-Brice from the practice field,
So much
stuff
free
like that.
time.
You got a little more free time, and the good thing is also you have a little more free time to if there's ever a Pat DeMarco inspired prank war, you've got more time than
Yeah.
he does. So
Yeah.
Yeah, more
you kind
time.
of find
We
stuff to do.
we might get it. We might get at that here later. But talk about, so when you got here, Ike Crowfoot. Ike is 2 years older than you, 3 years older
Yep,
than you.
yep.
Talk
I
about.
think
I
he's
mean,
three.
Ike was kind of like almost owned 5 points in like the governor of Columbia. When I got up here, he hosted me on my official visit. But tell us about
He
having Ike
he
as,
he hosted everybody on his official visit, and
yeah.
and I'll tell you what, Ike Crowfoot is the way I am right now, or I was in college. I blame Ike Crowfoot completely.
Tell us about your relationship with Ike as a special teams unit.
Yeah, Ike was great, man. I think he hosted me on my visit too. He never had a guy. I think his thing was like if every guy that he hosted committed. And I think that's why they, let Ike host so many guys. He was
Yep.
very entertaining. But no, Ike was great, man. He was actually a really good holder, which
Yep.
was awesome for me. He was a really, really good holder. And my Scott Morgan was a great snapper. So my first couple of years having those guys was was awesome. And then, just his mentality, he kept things light. I mean, you know how it is. Like it can be a very pressure packed situation having to hit a kick at the end of a game or going in, playing in front of some of these environments. Like you can feel that pressure a little bit. And having somebody with Ike's personality, I think, was really beneficial for me because he just kind of kept it light all the time, kept you laughing, kind of allowed you to go out and play free. But Ike was awesome, man. Great dude. I know he's doing great. I think he's in Orlando now. Got
Yeah.
3 girls and beautiful family. So happy for how he's doing.
Yeah. So like, you didn't have a special teams like coach in high school. Didn't have one kind of groomed up when you got to South Carolina. You had a couple different ones. Coach Beamer being one of them. He was special teams coach in 2007 when you were here. Like, what was your thoughts? Like, how many special teams coaches knew the art of kicking? Like, how many of them truly could help you kick, other than like scheme up the return or scheme up a block or this or that? Like, how many true special teams coaches throughout your time, college and NFL, could dive into your form and truly help you as a kicker?
Yeah, great question. Not a lot of them, to be honest. Not a lot of them understand kicking. A lot of them are really good at scheming up punt protection, punt return, kickoff return, whatever it may be. The thing about kicking is everybody does it a little bit differently. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
golf swing. Like you don't you watch the PGA Tour and there's a lot of guys that have very different golf swings, and kicking's the same way. So I would say the ones that like Coach Beamer was great because one, he really obviously understood the importance of special teams. I mean, that's in his family background. They've won a lot of games by the way they play special teams. But he
Right.
also he really knew how to talk to kickers. He really knew how to talk to punters, how to connect with guys that way. Make you feel relaxed, get the most out of you. And I think that's probably one of the best qualities that you can have as a special teams coordinator is kind of knowing how to manage the guy, knowing their personalities. That's what he was awesome at, and obviously was just great to play for. It's no wonder he's having the success he's having. I mean, he was one of my all-time favorite coaches, and it's cool to see him doing as well as he is.
Yeah.
So I think you hit the nail on the head, man. He knows how to talk to guys without pissing them off or making them all unconfident and all that stuff. That's complete different from Coach Spurrier. He had a whole different way of trying to encourage you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had the pressure button, and the pressure button was always on when Coach Spurrier brought your name up.
Yeah, that was always fun, man. Always fun. Do you make it up to Columbia at all to go to any of the games?
Yeah, try to. So I tell you what, we went to not in Columbia, we went to the Tennessee game last year. I took my oldest son to that, and then I took my whole family this year to the Vanderbilt game. Actually, you know what though? We actually did come back to Columbia last year for the Clemson game. Came and watched that game, which was fun, and got to see some guys. So trying to get back more. I think, the last 14, 15 years haven't had much of an opportunity to come back just with, with playing.
Quite
But
busy.
now that chapter's closed, like trying to get more involved, trying to come back more, it's really cool. And it's fun. It's really cool. It's cool to bring my family back. My kids love it. My wife and I both went to South Carolina. Her family went to South Carolina. Her granddad actually played football at Carolina. So it's kind of fun for us, and our kids are big Gamecocks, which is cool.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta let me know when you go up there, man. We'll have a little reunion.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun, man.
That'll be fun.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, I mean, transitioning from college into the NFL, I mean, you did 4 years at Carolina. Did you do 14 years in the NFL?
Yeah, 14.
God bless, dude. That's a long time. But
That's
it
a long
started
time.
out very interesting. I mean, 7 rounds go by and you're sitting there like, obviously, you're not going to get drafted in the first 2 or 3, but kind of once 4, 5, 6, 7 start, I mean, I bet you're kind of on edge waiting for your phone to ring, and God bless, they made you wait till the very last pick.
Yeah,
Tell us
that
about
was
being Mr. Irrelevant.
yeah, it was cool, man. It really was. I like Pat, you hit the nail on the head. I knew I wasn't going to be an early draft pick or anything. I didn't know if I was going to get drafted at all, to be honest with you. And I had a tough senior year. I dealt with an annoying injury. I had a sports hernia my senior year that popped up like the 4th game of the season. Tried to play through it, like it just didn't go well. Had surgery the day after the bowl game. Thankfully, pro day was late. That we had like a end of March pro day, and it gave me just enough time to get healthy from the surgery. And it was anyway. Started getting some looks after the pro day because I kicked well then, and sitting around on draft day, not knowing what's going to happen, thinking I'm going to have to make this decision. I'm probably going to have to decide, to sign as an undrafted free agent somewhere. And sure enough, man, get the call, right before I see it on TV. How'd you like to be a Chief? And that was awesome. Go to Kansas City. I always say I think God has a sense of humor, making me wait till the very last pick of the draft to get drafted. But it was cool, man. It gave me an opportunity to chase my dream. I never looked at it as a bad thing. I looked at it as like, man, this is an opportunity. You hear the name Mr. Relevant, that can have kind of a negative connotation to it, but
Well, I mean, Justice
I,
Cunningham was Mr. Relevant
yeah.
too, in
yeah,
South Carolina.
What
All right,
don't they do something pretty cool?
it's like
yeah. So,
isn't it
well,
like a
it depends.
parade and
Yeah, it depends on how you view it. This is my thing. Okay, so they have a week for you out in Newport Beach, California. It's called Irrelevant Week, and they started this thing like however many years ago, 30, 40 years ago. And they used to do it because there used to be 12 rounds in the NFL draft, and if you were the last pick of the 12th round, like you had zero chance to make the team. You were literally there to hold bags in practice. And so they're like, hey, we got to do something like celebrate this guy. So they basically have a week for you to roast you and toast you because they're like, hey, he's probably not going to play in the NFL. Like, let's celebrate him now and let's kind of
Oh,
make fun of him. So then that's like already the premise of the week. Then when you're a field goal kicker, they got more ammunition. Your last name's Succop. Like, dude, they're roasting you the entire week. So
yeah,
I go out there. It actually was like pretty fun. They have a parade for you on the beach. I'll never forget this. All right, so the first day we get there, they're like, "Hey, we have a parade for you on the beach. It's at the Balboa Yacht Club in Newport Beach, California, which is like,
there's no money out there. It's
which
very
is
poor area.
which is not like Hickory, North Carolina. That's all I'm going to say." And they're like, "Hey, we're going to bring you around. You're going to go down this marina." And you're going to come around on a boat and you're going to make your grand entrance on a boat on the beach. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm coming in on a boat. Like, I'm the guest of honor. Let's go. So we're walking past like all these like amazing yachts, sailboats. It's unbelievable. So I'm like, keep asking, like, which one are we getting on? Which one are we getting on? And sure enough, we walk all the way out to the end of the dock, and I see this dude in a canoe with like a little 10 horsepower one of these on the back, and he's coming around. And I'm like, I'm getting on that, aren't I? Because I was drafted by the Chiefs, so they thought canoe, Chiefs, the whole thing. You probably couldn't do this nowadays, but they made me wear an Indian headdress,
yeah,
and
you get canceled doing that
you
now.
you get canceled. And so I had to wear. I got pictures of this. You could probably find one of these on the internet, Pat. But I had to wear an Indian headdress on the back of a canoe, and that's how I made my entrance onto the beach. And there was like the whole town gets behind it, and they celebrate you, and they roast you and toast you, and it was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of cool, Garcia. I guess I could laugh at myself, so it was what it was, but it
I
was
was about to
fun.
say you got to be able to laugh at yourself. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you're gonna have a hard life.
Well,
No doubt.
I mean, there's also a lot of myths out there. I mean, I've heard that Mr. Irrelevant historically has been invited to go to the Playboy Mansion.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
I did,
Did you?
yeah, I did. That's
You
true.
got a formal invite.
I did get that invite. I turned that one down, Pat. I didn't
Graciously passed. You're a good man. You're a good
I
man.
turned that one down. But yeah, you do
Wonder,
get invited.
I wonder if Justice Cunningham passed on that.
I don't know. So the funny thing is they do give you a lot of gifts, and I'm a horrible. I told you I play some pranks. I'm really am a terrible person sometimes, but they give you a lot of gifts, right? And they do make this whole week for you. So sure enough, I'm playing like 7, 8 years later. I'm playing in Tennessee for the Titans, and we have a kid get drafted, Mr. Relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting down, and I would always tell this to like veteran dudes, you sit in the cold tub after practice, and people are like, man, aren't you Mr. Relevant? And they're like, dude, don't you get an Escalade for that? Don't you get a Rolex? And I'd always be like, yeah, like it's really cool. And none of that's true, but like it's just all rumor. But I'd be like, yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, I got a truck, I got a Rolex. I said the best thing is, Disney got behind it. They feel bad for you. They actually give you $1 million, and because it's gifted, it's tax free, so you don't have to pay taxes on it because it's a gift. And so
That's
guys would be
brutal.
like, wait a minute, you got $1 million tax free? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, actually, like comes out to being like a middle second round pick. Like I just, said I was really happy I was the last guy picked and not the next to last guy picked, because then I wouldn't be picked. So anyway, I would always just mess with veterans, and then like, a couple days later, tell us a joke. Well, sure enough, we get a guy drafted to Tennessee, Mr. Relevant. They're like, hey, you got to hit him with it. So this poor guy, he's, rookie, comes in, and I'm like telling him all the things, telling him he's going to get $1 million tax free.
That's
And
brutal.
I know it's awful, but I was set up. I had some older guys like made me do it. And so then I forgot to tell him it's a joke. So like 3 weeks later, he goes out to Irrelevant Week, and he comes back, and he's like, hey, when did they send the check?
That's the only
I,
thing he's worried about.
I have never felt so bad in my life. Having to sit there and be like, dude, I was messing with you. Like, there's no
Oh
check, man.
no.
I felt so bad. But anyway, yeah, it's a cool week. It's a cool experience.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, you had a hell of a rookie year too. You went out there and you what kicked. You were 80, almost 86.2% your rookie year out in Kansas City, and you ended up cementing yourself there. And you played what, 6 years in Kansas City?
I got cut right in my 6th year, right before the
Yeah,
start of my 6th year. So played 5.
yeah. Played 5 out there and kind of made a name for yourself, and played 9 years post Kansas City. I think would have been year 3 in Kansas City, or maybe year 4. Um, Somebody got an invitation to go work out during training camp in 2011, and you kind of took me under your wing. That was
Oh,
me this was 2012. I broke my foot in 11 with the Chargers and signed out there in late July, August. You guys had a really good specialist group out there in Kansas City with Dustin Colquitt, Thomas Gafford,
yeah, that's
the
right. Yeah,
snapper.
yep.
Um, can we talk about some of the pranks that you guys executed out
You
there?
you have to now. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm at the edge of my seat listening.
yeah.
Um, yeah, go for it.
All right. Yeah.
Share what you
So
want.
okay. So obviously everybody knows Colquitt. Played at Tennessee. His brother played at Tennessee. His dad played at Tennessee. Dustin's he's one of my closest buds, and we're still good friends this day, even though he's coaching at Tennessee. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, he's helping out. But no, we had a great group, man. Dustin's one of the funniest people I've ever met. There's always like he would always do things where you're like, this might be pushing it a little too far. Like this, we might be need to chill out. And for some reason, like with Dustin, it always turned out as gold, and it always turned out funny. Um, some of the stuff I really I probably can't talk about on here. I'll tell you the best one that comes to mind. We had set up I'm driving into work one day and I see Pat, you remember there's Arrowhead Stadium, then there's the
Yep.
practice facility, and then beside it there's actually like a lot of woods beside the practice facility.
Yep.
So I'm driving in one day and I see this like really nice 8 or 9 point white-tailed deer. And I'm like, oh man, like I didn't realize we had big deer right here. So I tell Dustin about it, and he's like, come on. So we go to special teams meeting. He's like, we're going to Bass Pro after the meeting because we had like 3 hours before practice because real players have to go and sit in offensive, defensive meetings. And so we go down to Bass Pro and we buy like 2 50-pound bags of corn and a trail cam to tie up on a tree. And so I'm like, we dump the corn out, we put the trail cam up, and we're like, hey, we're going to see what's out here. Well, sure enough, we go back and check the camera like 3 days later, and there's like deer all over it. There's coyotes, there's turkeys, like right there in Kansas City. So then we start like telling guys about it. They think it's awesome. So then we would print out the pictures of like the big deer and put it on the whiteboard in the locker room because dudes would always ask about it. So like this goes on for like a couple weeks. Everybody like has interest, and sure enough, we're getting ready to play the Patriots on Monday night that year. And Brandon Albert, he was our left tackle, and I think he
Yeah,
was from.
BA.
I
Yeah.
think he was he from Brooklyn maybe.
Yeah, he played at UVA, right?
Yeah, he played at UVA, and anyway, I feel like he was maybe from Brooklyn. I'd have to check that, but he was like, "Hey, Succop, man, what have y'all seen on that camera lately?" And I kid you not, like 2 hours before that, a buddy had sent. There was this picture going around the internet of a mountain lion that had a deer by the throat, and it was dragging it by the throat, and this mountain lion looked gnarly. So I'm like, and it was just like this light bulb moment. I'm like, "Yeah, you're not gonna believe this." And I pull out the phone and I show him that picture, and his eyes get like super big. And he's like, "That cat is right by this facility." I'm like, on our trail cam, dude. So like, so we go play the Patriots. We get beat. We get back like super early Tuesday morning. I think we were maybe off the next day. We come in the next day, and I have like 4 or 5 guys come up and ask me about it. You know how it is, like in the locker room, word spreads quick. So like, I tell Dustin about it. He's in on it. Gafford knows about it, and they're all saying the same thing. Like, man, isn't that crazy? And so they're asking me, like, dude, what do we do? And I'm like, man, don't sweat it. Like these things they only are active at sunrise and sunset. That's the only time they're moving. The rest of the time they're just sleeping. And I know that the guys get there at like sunrise in the morning and then they leave. Yeah. So like this goes on for like a week, and I start noticing everybody used to park up against the tree line for the shade because it would be shaded because it's hot in September, October. And these dudes are starting to park like by the door. And so I'm watching them, and they're getting out of their car, and it's like I'm not gonna say they were running, but it was like a brisk walk, I would say, into the facility. Dude, sure enough, this thing goes on for a couple weeks. the media picks it up. They find out about it. They ask our head coach about it in the Friday presser. We're getting ready to play the Bears, and the first question they ask is, "Hey, what's the deal with the mountain lion that is
Why is he
around the
talking
Chiefs
to Bears?
facility?" And the first thing I'm thinking of is like, dude, I am in my second or third year here. The first thing they tell you is don't be a distraction. Like now this thing's all over the news. Go Google Chiefs mountain lion, whatever, and you can read all about this. And I'm sitting there thinking this is not good. And sure enough, I think USA Today put out an article that was like, if the Chiefs didn't have enough problems, now they have to contend with a mountain lion roaming the facility. And dude, but our head coach, Todd Haley, they asked him about it in the presser, and he's like, yeah, and he knew it was a joke, and he thought it was hilarious. And he's like, yeah, he's like, man, I've seen pictures of the cat. Like, I've told all the guys coming or leaving the facility, buddy system is in effect. Like, dude, he played it up. It was great. So that was probably my best prank.
That's
That's
incredible.
unbelievable.
I mean, it goes on for almost a month.
It did.
I remember some of them during training camp at, was it St. Joe's?
Yeah.
St. Joseph, Missouri. Like, oh gosh, talk about a place. Yeah, but this is my first year, and like I signed during training camp, and I'm like, stay in line, don't screw anything up. This is your first real opportunity because I was hurt my first year, and I get palled around with you guys, and you guys are causing commotion and chaos, and like I'm thrown into the mix of it, and I'm like, oh, like Succop's my buddy, but like he's cemented his roster spot. I'm just hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you guys did to Thomas Gafford, who was like, he's one of the most sensitive people. You guys dove into that. I remember there's a picture circulating. I do remember. We don't have to talk about all this, but I just and then the Colquitt moments during bed check were pretty epic. It was a topic of breakfast every single day.
Yeah, the poor coaches that had to do bed check. I'll spare you the details, but yeah, it would always be like a younger coach, first time coaching that would have to do bed check at 11 o'clock, and Dustin would always have a surprise for him every bed check. Yeah, you can use your imagination. Yeah.
Oh man!
That's unbelievable. Holy shit.
All right, well, let's move on to your career post the pranks in Kansas City and a heck of a 5 years in Kansas City. You went to Tennessee, where you currently live now in Nashville. I mean, obviously it had such an impact on your time that you ended up, putting your family there long term. So talk about your time in Tennessee.
Yeah, got like you said, man. I got cut going into my 6th year in Kansas City. The next day, I get a call. Hey, we want to sign you as long as you pass the physical. So I got cut on Saturday afternoon in Kansas City. Monday morning, I flew to Nashville, and if I passed the physical, I was going to be the guy. And sure enough, passed the physical. Played, we actually played that week, and week one of all places we played in Kansas City. Kind of funny how that works out.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the start of my career here, and then got to play the next 6 years here. Nashville's been awesome to us. Had a great time playing for the Titans. Been great to our family. It's a really great city, man. We love it. Great place to live. Great place to raise a family. Had a really good 6 years here, man. And then at the time, it felt unfortunate. I had a knee surgery when I was in my 6th year here. Had to go on IR, miss some of the season. You know how it goes when you get hurt in this league. It's
You're
not
hanging on
NFL.
they try to find somebody for you quick.
100%. So that's what ended up happening. But obviously turned out to be a huge blessing how that worked out. But yeah, I mean, had a great 6 years here. We have some of our best family friends are all here in Nashville. A lot of them are guys that we played with, and it's been a really cool place for us.
How I mean, as a kicker, like you're asked to kick the ball through the uprights and kick it out of the back of the end zone. Occasionally, you have to make tackles. How many tackles did you record in your career?
I don't know.
How would you rate your form on a scale of 1 to 10 in tackling technique?
Pat, obviously not good enough because well, the one tackle that really stands out, and I think I've told you this story. Actually, I don't know if I have told you this.
I don't think I have.
There's one tackle that's a really sore subject. I got It was the last game of the season. We get an extra point blocked. We're playing Jacksonville. This was in like, I don't know, 2018 maybe. Last game of the season, they block extra point. I make the dude scoops it up because he's going to run it back for 2, and I make the tackle. When I make the tackle, my shoulder gets caught behind me, and I tear my labrum in my left shoulder.
Oh, gosh.
And it was fine. I could still kick. And they were like, hey, it was kind of like one of those, you can have surgery, you can't have surgery. It's kind of on the fence. I decided not to have surgery. Well, sure enough, my good buddy, who you guys all know, Wesley Bryan, he had
Yep.
won at Harbortown that year before on the PGA Tour. So he is playing in the Masters that year. And he calls me up. He doesn't know that I've torn my labrum. This is in like early February, maybe mid-February. And he's like, hey, I'm taking the next 3 tournaments off because I'm getting ready for the Masters. He's like, I have got a good connect. I'm going to be playing. I want to get ready. I'm playing Augusta, 7 or 8 times in the next 3 weeks. Pick a date, come down and play. And I'm like, oh no, you got to be kidding. It's my left shoulder. That's the worst shoulder for the golf swing. And so I call our team doc and I'm like, hey, he's a golfer. I tell him what's going on. He's like, let's try a couple quarters on shots, whatever. Like nothing worked. I couldn't swing. Wesley's like, dude, no problem. Like we'll go play anytime. Like whatever. Of course, that's never happened. So
That sucks.
all that to say that apparently my tackling form is not very good because I tore my labrum the one of the few times that I actually made a tackle.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
the good news is that at least you didn't get Antonio Brown's foot in your face mask,
Oh,
like
like Spencer.
another,
Spencer Landon,
yeah,
yeah.
like Lanning Spencer.
Yeah, that's right, Lanning Spencer.
I
That
hate
is
to say that. Hey, Spencer, I love you, man, but damn, that's
Well,
still unbelievable.
that was tough.
that brings up now that I'm wearing the Masters logo. It brings up the memory of you continuing your pranks. This was Kirsten was pregnant with Weston, and I got her and Paige were close, and they were talking about when the scheduled C-section was, and like I guess Paige told you everything, and you, being the asshole that you are, thought it was a good idea to call me and throw another prank out there. You guys were living in Charlotte, I believe, at the time.
Yep.
So you called me. I was buying Kirsten a car for like her push present or whatever, and we're at the dealership, and you call me, and you are like, "Pat, you'll never believe it. I mean, you're such a freaking awesome liar. Like, it's incredible." You're like, I was at this Gamecock Club event here in Charlotte, and there's a bunch of bigwigs there. One of these guys is a member at Augusta National and asked me if I wanted to come and asked me if I wanted to bring a guest. And you're like, I mean, I know the baby's coming soon, but I figure like this is our only chance to play this place. Like, you're close to Augusta, like kind of right in between Charlotte and Atlanta. Like, let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, what's the date? And you throw out Weston's the date that the C-section's scheduled for. And you like just wanted my reaction.
I remember doing that, and I remember Pat being like, "Oh no, that's our due date," and I was like, "So what are you gonna do?"
Well, sure enough, I
Hey,
asked
Steven.
Kirsten to change the C-section.
Hey, Garcia, he made the right decision. He was there for the birth, but I'd be lying to you if I said that he didn't think about it for a cold 5 or 6 seconds.
Oh, I could imagine he did.
No. I remember I hung up. I was like, let me have a conversation with Kirsten and see if we can potentially move this C-section date so I can play Augusta with you. And I hung up, and you called me back like 5 seconds later. You're like, bad idea. I'm kidding. We're not playing Augusta National. I do not have the offer. Don't ruin your relationship with your wife over this prank. Oh,
That is unbelievable.
I'm actually surprised that Pat is still having me on the podcast after that.
Oh, well, you saved me from going up to Kirsten and being like, hey, I know this has been booked for months. We'll go ahead and move our son's birthday for Pat's chance to go play Augusta.
Oh, shoot. It would have been epic.
That's unreal. Right. So then you leave Tennessee and then you come, or, I didn't even know this. You were contemplating retiring.
Well,
then
you know
the
what?
Bucks
I
called?
was, so I had played like whatever, 11 or 12 years at that point. You know how it is. Your body kind of starts talking to you. You start feeling some things. And it was the COVID year. And so which was actually a blessing because nobody was getting signed that whole offseason. Teams were kind of not really making any moves. But I was still training, like in case an opportunity came up, I wanted to be ready, and so I was still working out. I was still kicking, and sure enough, like 2 weeks before the season starts, I get a call from Tampa, like, "Hey, we want to bring you down for a workout. Like, we want to see how it goes." So I go down, I do this workout, and the workout goes well. It was me and another kicker there, and kicked pretty well. And I kind of had a feeling they were probably going to want to sign me. And so that night, I'm sitting in the hotel room in Tampa. Um, they want to sign me. I I was torn for a lot of reasons. It was just not exactly what I was thinking contract wise. It was just a little different than things had been. I was thinking like, man, my kids are in school in Nashville. Like they're not going to be able to come down here because of the COVID year, all that stuff. Like it was, I was just weighing a lot of things. Like, is this? Do I really want to
Right.
do this? And I was torn, man. I really was. I was torn, and I'll never forget it. I that night I'm sitting in the hotel in a thunderstorm. It's like 7, 8 o'clock at night, and a thunderstorm had come through you live in Tampa, Steven. You know how those storms are.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was just like kind of praying about it. I was like, Lord, like show me, just is this for me? Is this not for me? And sure enough, a thunderstorm rolls through, and I run out to my car to get some out of my car. Um, After the storm had passed, and I look up, and the hotel was kind of right there by the airport, but it looked
Yeah.
over Raymond James Stadium. And sure enough, I look over the stadium, and there's this huge rainbow going right. It looks like it's going into the stadium. And then I was like, at that point, I was like, all right, like I literally was just praying about this. I got to do this. And so I literally called my agent up, and I'm like, hey, like I think we need to do it. I know it's not exactly what we were looking for, but this is where I'm supposed to be. And sure enough, man, ended up that year having probably the best year of my career that season. And I had all these doubts in my head. I'd coming off knee surgery the year before. I wasn't sure how that was going to hold up. I wasn't sure if I was really like physically ready to go. Missing my family, all these different things that played into it. And man, honestly, it kind of that leap of faith, and it turned out to be probably the best season of my career individually. We won the Super Bowl that year, which was amazing.
Pretty epic.
Listen,
Um,
you had a pretty decent quarterback
yeah,
that year.
got to play with the goat, man, and
Yeah.
Where'd
that
you
was really cool.
where'd you live when you were down here?
I lived in South Tampa, so my that first year, I rented a little like just a little 2 bedroom apartment in Hyde Park,
Okay.
um, which was cool. And then after that first year, I signed a little bit longer deal, and I was actually trying to buy a place. We were looking at moving, like we were looking at moving to Tampa, bringing the family down there. This was when everybody was leaving New York,
And
California.
yeah, I was about
They
to
were
say, yeah.
they were getting out of those crazy places when it was all wacko, and so. Um, they were all coming to Tampa. They were all coming to Florida, and I tried to buy a couple of different places. Didn't buy, couldn't compete with some of these buyers, and so never got a house. Ended up just renting, actually a teammate's house the next year because he ended up playing for a different team. And then I did the same thing the third year. Had another buddy that had a home, and he ended up going to a different team, and so I just kind of would rent their
They're
homes, but
all out
it
in
was usually always in South Tampa.
South Tampa. Yeah, I know a lot of the guys live out here north. I'm in like Lutz, Odessa area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know a lot of guys live out here that have like families because that's South Tampa. That's dangerous. That's a
Yeah,
dangerous area out there.
yeah, I didn't really know
Being
what I was doing. It actually was great because it was like you could walk everywhere, and we would go out to
yeah.
like Davis. We'd go out to Davis. We were right there by Davis Island. There was always like good parks. So when my kids were in town, we could always go do all that, and um, plenty of places to eat. It was a cool couple of years down there, man. It
Yeah,
was cool,
I
cool.
didn't mean dangerous like threatening dangerous. I meant dangerous being like there's a lot of things to look at.
Yeah, yeah, there probably are, Stephen. Yes.
I don't know anymore, man. I'm all hitched up, so I'm done.
Oh boy, me too.
So tell us about. Tom Brady took a Super Bowl for me during my time in Atlanta when he was with the Patriots. Tell us about. As well as anybody. You played with him. Like, tell us some of the stories about Tom and like what he was as a teammate, what he was as a leader, kind of his impact. At that point, he was at the end of his career, just like yourself. You guys probably hit it off. But tell us about Tom Brady. Freaking hate that guy.
Yeah, man. Well, you shouldn't honestly. Like, and this isn't just like because I got to play with him or anything, dude.
Yeah.
He was awesome. Like,
Mhm.
unbelievable leader. This was to me. I'll never forget this. After one of the first games down there, Bruce Arians is like ripping into him in the team meeting on Monday, and I'm sitting there going like, dude, that is Tom Brady. Like, how is he going to react?
Yeah.
And dude, he sat there and he took every note down. didn't say a word, and I was just sitting there like, wow, like if it really holds everybody else accountable, right? Like he's sitting there taking it. It set the tone for everybody. Nobody's off limits. The other thing
Yep.
too was, dude, he hardly ever missed a day of practice. He was 43 years old,
Yep.
never missed a day of practice. So he great leader that way. It was like we had a lot of older guys like me, Antonio Brown, Gronk. Like go down the list. We had a lot of like really
Oh yeah,
veteran
gosh, it's some
dudes.
characters.
Yeah, we had some characters, and so like you know how it is in the league, Pat and Steven. Like guys get into year 10, year 11. Like a lot of times you're not practicing that much during the week. It's more of like, hey, you might practice light on Friday or Thursday, but you're not going to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, like Tom was out there doing it every day, and it kind of set the tone for everybody.
Yep.
Um, but no, unbelievable leader, awesome teammate, man. Treated everybody, whether you were Mike Evans and you were the number one receiver, or you were like the dude folding towels in the equipment room, man. He was great to everybody. Really cool to see what made him so special. This is the story I always tell. One of my first years down there, he has this guy Alex Guerrero that is like
Yep.
takes care of his body, does all of his tissue work,
Right.
all of his nutrition, all that. And Tom was like super generous, would allow other guys to work with him, and I'm in there. I'd always get there early because I didn't want to be in Tom's way. And one Sunday, I'm getting in there. It's about 3.5 hours before the game, and I'm getting all my work done, getting my body moving before the game. And Alex is working on me. I'm on the table, and Tom comes in, and I'm like, "Oh crap, he's here early today." Like, so I'm trying to get up off the table as quick as I can because I don't. I know my role. Like, don't be in that guy's way. And so I'm trying to get up off the table, and Tom's like, no, dude, you're good, you're good. And I'm like, no, I like Tom, please, I'll come back. Like, you get your work done, I'll come back later. And he's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, you guys finish up, take as much time as you need. He's like, look, I need you to feel good because if you feel good, you're going to play good, and that's going to help us win today.
Yep.
And so I'm like looking at Alex, and he's like, hey, you heard him. Like, lay back down. And so I get back on the table. Alex works on me for another 5 or 10 minutes. Tom's like sitting there waiting patiently. I feel super awkward. And sure
He's just
enough,
sitting there just watching.
well, I mean, he's like talking, hanging, whatever. And sure enough, we hit a kick.
Teammates,
Like,
that's the ultimate teammate. He has every right and every reason to tell you, hey man, like get up, this is my guy. He sits there. I mean,
right, that's what I'm
pretty
saying.
impressive.
That's what I'm saying, and that's who he was. And like, sure enough, that game we hit a kick like with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter that kind of put that one out of reach. And it's just like that always imprinted on me, like how he leads by example, right? Like
Yeah.
selfless. Yeah, I mean, that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of roasts, like, I mean, you had your fair share as Mr. Irrelevant, and then you were the prankster of all pranks. I'm surprised you weren't on his little Netflix show and ripped into him a little bit there. That would have
Yeah.
been
Well,
fun.
I actually still haven't seen that. I heard it was pretty funny.
It
A
was,
little
yeah.
vulgar, but
It was cringeworthy at times.
that's what I heard. I
I
hadn't
thought
seen it.
I thought it was awesome. I
It
thought
was entertaining.
the girl was a little, she was a little raunchy.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's you got to be able to laugh at yourself, as I was telling Ryan earlier. I mean,
That's
you
right.
got to be able to laugh at yourself, and for him to do that, and for some of the shit that they were saying, it was it was kind of wild.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, I mean,
may have to go check it out.
yeah. I mean, the NFL game. I mean, you've been done what 2.5 years now. I mean, I feel like it's changed a boatload. I mean, now, I mean, do you still watch a bunch of NFL?
Yeah, I do. My oldest son, he's a little flag football team. They do like the
Dude,
fantasy.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of fun because all those little third graders, there's 10 of them on their team, and they have a fantasy football league, and they all play each other. And so I kind of keep up with it through that because he has so much fun watching it and all that. So I do, and I still enjoy watching it. Like actually, I probably enjoy watching it now more than when I was playing. I think when you're playing, you're like that's what you do every single day, so you're kind of like, all right. But now when you're away from it for a little bit, it's pretty entertaining.
What's your career long?
Uh, 54, I think. Had a 58 hit the post one time. That still
Oh,
bugs me.
but I
Bugs
mean,
me.
you're watching it now. Like 60 yarders are like it's like a normal thing for kickers to line up and try to rip a 60 yarder.
Yeah, it really has. It's amazing what these guys are doing. Like the game has changed, man. Kickers are they're just better. They're more athletic. The way they train is better. They have kicking coaches. I mean, it's
And
and you're
that's
seeing honestly a lot of it too. I think there was like when I was playing, there were no doubt like we had guys that could hit 60 yarders for sure. But the coaches oftentimes you would only see it at the end of a game because it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
field
if
position
you
is the
miss a
key.
kick from 59, you're giving the other team the ball at midfield.
Yep.
And so teams are always afraid to try. And now it's kind of like this aggressive nature in the NFL where if guys are going for it on fourth down, they're kicking long field goals. It's kind of a microcosm of how the entire NFL has changed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got like the AI generator at the bottom of the screen, like, yeah, AI analytics say go for it. It's like
It's crazy.
it
Yeah,
is crazy.
it is
Well,
totally. It is. The game's changing. It's more exciting. I mean, hey, I love it. I love
Yeah.
seeing guys line up for a 58, 60-yard field goal and knowing they've got a pretty good chance to make it.
Yeah. I remember a specific play while I was playing in Atlanta, probably 2015, maybe 2016. We were actually playing against the Tennessee Titans. They had they had a really good kicker at the time. It wasn't really like it was towards the tail end of his career. It wasn't really a touchback kicker. Was like he was a returnable guy.
Okay.
Remember, I'm the off returner. I think Eric Weems is the returner. I think he catches it one or two deep, and we have just a middle return. So I mean, and our front line did a great job. Our Weds did a great job, and like it's very few and far between that somebody doesn't miss on the front line, and the off returner has to clean up their miss. And usually the off returner is in charge of cleaning up the two safeties or the kicker. So there's a middle return. The Red Sea's parts. I mean, it is like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can score a touchdown. I don't have the ball. Like, how is this going to work? And Ryan like sneaks from behind the pile and like is right in the middle of my way. And I like he puts his hands up and he starts backing up. Stop. He's been tackled. You might remember it differently.
Yeah. So here's what I remember. So what Pat got me. I'm not gonna lie, and I jumped out of the way, and I did get made fun of on film on Monday because Pat came with a full head of steam. Hey Pat, I mean Garcia, that body, little squatty, little thick. Hey, little bit of a belly on him. You know what I mean? Like
coming at you full steam, yeah.
But he's coming full steam, man. He's a little lower than I am, and so I can see the play, and I can see that the returner is tackled, and there's kind of this sportsmanship in the NFL of like, hey, you're out here trying to put food on the table for your family. You're trying to put food on the table for your family, and so you kind of talk to each other a little bit, right? And most of the time, it works out. So I don't know it's Pat, and I just see this dude flying at me, and I'm where I'm supposed to be because I'm making sure this doesn't bust for a touchdown, and I can see the returner just got tripped up, and here's Pat full head of steam, and I jump out of the way, and man, I look so bad. And I think he was just messing with me. I honestly think he just was messing with me, like he was going to pop me and put me on my back. But anyway,
yeah, it was. No, I was gonna give you hell for all the shit you put me through. I was gonna give you everything I got, all 240 pounds and all like 5 flat 40, like you said. I was rolling at you. I was gonna give you everything I had. Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's funny. So
this was after you tried to tell me to go play Augusta National in place of my child's birth. So it would have been merited.
Oh shoot!
I'll tell you what, man, it's funny as hell hearing Ryan and how much of a smartass he still is, man. I freaking love it. I absolutely love it.
I just miss seeing a guy with long hair riding around on a moped with a
I'm trying to
mask
grow.
on.
I'm trying to grow it back a little bit. It's getting there.
What was that mask you wore? What was the movie was that from? Troy?
Troy, yep. I still have the helmet. I should have wore it today, man.
You should have, man. That thing was epic. The sun would be hitting that thing. I'm surprised it didn't cause more wrecks in Columbia, man. Just blinding people. That was pretty awesome.
Man, I'll tell you what, the freaking moped gang that we had was just unbelievable.
It was strong.
Those were the days.
It was that was kind of fun.
The theft of mopeds in Columbia, South Carolina was at an all-time high too. I think I had 2 of mine stolen.
It was fun while it lasted because it didn't last long.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. All right, so you're living in Nashville now. You and Paige, you all have 3 kids, right?
Yeah, we got 3.
What are the ages?
I got a 9-year-old, 6-year-old, and 3-year-old.
That's fun and exciting. We're not too far behind you. We got 4. We're 8, 6, 3, and 2. Yeah, it's crazy. But living in Nashville's got to be pretty cool. I mean, I know there's a lot of athletes that live in Nashville. Obviously, a lot of country music singers that live in Nashville. Who do you bump shoulders with? Like, who's kind of the hang in Nashville? I'm sure it's a pretty awesome crowd.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the main reasons we stayed here is we have a lot of really good friends here. A lot of them are guys that we played with.
Mhm.
You guys, you probably know a bunch of them, but yeah, got some great friends, and we kind of do life together.
Yep.
This past year has been kind of fun because Ben Jones, he played
Yeah.
at Georgia as center.
Yeah.
So Ben is a really close friend of mine. Brett Kern, who he played here in Tennessee for
Hunter,
like
right?
15 years. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a really close buddy of mine. And then Ryan Tannehill, and
Yep.
we're all really close. And it's kind of fun because this is all really our like last year. I was still kind of on the fence. I was still training, taking some workouts, was considering playing, and this is kind of the first year where I was like, hey, I'm good. I don't want to play. And those other three guys are all in the same boat. So man, we had an awesome like our kids all go to the same school. We would take the kids to school in the morning, might get a quick workout in, and then we were teeing it up by about 10:15 every morning and
Yep.
done in time to pick them up from school and coach them afterwards. So it
Yep.
was really fun. It was really a fun fall. Those are, three of my best buds, and our wives are all super close and kids are close. And we kind of have a good time hanging together. So,
Dang. So
uh,
you guys have 4 former NFL players coaching a flag football team.
oh, that's my son. Yeah. So my son's, so Ryan's son is actually a year younger. He's not on that
Okay.
team. And then Ben's kids are a little bit younger, so they're not playing yet. But actually, yeah. So
Oh,
my
so they just have
son's
you. Never mind. You can teach them how to kick, but that's
no,
fine.
we got Matt Castle's son is on our team.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Matt Castle.
so Eric Decker's son is on our team, and
Oh
then
my gosh.
we've got little Clay Matthews is in their grade. We're gonna get him to. They all go to school together and have fun. And anyway, it's a cool
Yeah.
little group of kids.
He's going to be a different athlete.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
Pretty good
pretty good
genetics,
lineup.
so.
that's right.
Jesus.
That's right. So we
So,
have fun, and me and Castle coach him, and yeah, Castle keeps it interesting. Pat, you remember Matt?
yeah, I remember I was with him in Kansas City that year.
Yeah.
Who's the most awestruck celebrity that you've bumped shoulders with in Nashville? It's like, I know you got all those deer hanging on your wall. You're from Hickory. Like country music, I'm sure is a huge thing. But like, who in that space has kind of you've been starstruck by?
Yeah, I don't know. Nashville's interesting, Pat. Honestly, like it's a small, it's like a small big town, man. Like
Mhm.
you go to the sort of the same charity events, you play at the same golf courses. You kind of get to know a lot of the guys. I remember when I messed my knee up. I had knee surgery in my last year in Tennessee, right before training camp, and Kenny Chesney was really good friends with our trainer, and he had the same knee surgery by the same doctor a week apart. So that summer, he was coming in doing all his rehab at the Titans facility, and it was just kind of funny. It was literally me and him in there every day doing our
Yep.
rehab for like 6 weeks before the season started.
Man.
Um,
You
but
want to talk
so
about somebody that's a little lower than you? He's a little lower.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He's very low to the ground.
yeah, no doubt he is, and he loves ball. He loves Coach Spurrier. He's like good friends with Coach Spurrier,
Yes, he
and
is. Yeah.
so the fact that I was like, played at South Carolina just kind of gave us a lot to talk about. But I mean, honestly, man, you see a bunch of guys. Luke Combs is around. You guys remember Nudie? You guys remember
Yeah.
Nudie at South
Yeah.
Carolina?
Yeah.
So Nudie is like he's like Luke's right hand guy. So like we've been out to their place, and
Oh wow.
actually went to a birthday party for Nudie at Luke's house a few years back at his barn, and he kind of handles all Luke's stuff. But man,
He reached out. He texted me on or sent me a DM on Instagram, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I know you're a fan of Luke Combs, man. Anytime you want to, you know, like hang out or whatever, just let me know." I was like, "Can win? Like
yeah,
you tell me when, dude."
yeah, no, he really is, man. And Nudie's awesome, dude. I think he's been sober for like however many years now. Hadn't had a drink. I'm proud of him, man. He's doing
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome. He was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a mess in college. We had a good time.
Nudie was a mess in college. He was, yeah. His name was Nudie, and that fit well for
Yep.
how he was. But he's really got it together, man. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. How's the golf game? Are you like are you I joke around with Kirsten every time I go play golf. I said, like, babe, I'm working. Like I'm
Yeah,
training for the senior PGA tour right now. I got 20 years until I can play on the senior tour. That's
right.
15 years. You're as you can tell, like your hair receding a little bit.
Yeah,
You're a couple
thanks.
years older than me,
Thanks.
so you're a little closer to that.
Yeah.
But tell us about your golf game. Are you scratch? Are you plus? Are you
Yeah, golf game's good,
You're
man.
still a couple strokes better than me. I know.
Yeah, no, the golf game's good, man. I've been playing a little bit more. I had about 2 years I didn't play at all. Just I had some low back stuff. Was busy with football, kids. Like I just didn't get to play. But now life has slowed down a little bit. I'm getting to play. I'm loving it. Um, yeah, golf game's good, man. I think I'm right at almost a +3 now. So
Oh,
uh,
geez.
playing some good golf. Actually, really cool, Pat. I need to talk to you about this. There's a pro athlete golf tour that is starting.
Mhm.
I
And
saw you did. I saw you did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually in Tampa, Steven. It was in
Yeah.
Tampa a few weeks back, man. It was really cool. It was a Ryder Cup. 12 guys on an NFL team versus 12 MLB, 12 NHL, and 12 NBA. And
Yeah.
it was really cool, man, getting to compete, go have fun. And the guys could really play. Like a lot of really good golfers. It was great competition. And there's another event in Dallas in March. It's gonna be 54 NFL only guys, 3-day tournament.
Oh, wow.
Um, so that I tell Paige that too. I'm like, hey, I got a tournament coming up. Like,
I
I gotta
gotta
be
start
playing.
training.
That's right. That's right.
No, that's really cool. Were you the
It's
best?
fun.
I mean, were you the best player of down there? I mean, don't toot your own horn. I know you like that's what we do. Um, but were you the best player there? In the
I wouldn't say that. The baseball squad had some really, really good players. So I don't, they had- there Mark Mulder
yeah,
is a heck of a player. He's won Tahoe like 3 times.
wow,
And I actually got to so the first 2 days are like team matches. So it's like you and a partner. So like Jerome Bettis was my partner for the first 2 days. It was me and him versus two NBA or two MLB or whatever. And that was fun. And then the last day is singles matches. And actually got to play Mark in the singles match because they try to pair you based on handicaps.
Mhm.
And I actually did win that match. I beat him. But I will tell you this: I made a lot of putts, and it just kind of went my way. I don't know that I would beat him very often, playing regularly. Like he's a really good player.
Yeah,
And there's some other baseball dudes that dude, those boys can hit the golf ball. Like
yeah,
I was talking to Smoltz, and he's like, "Yeah, I pitched every 5 days, so every road trip I'm bringing my golf clubs, and they play golf. Like they play golf a lot, even during the season, which football players don't really do."
yeah.
I mean, isn't a baseball swing and a hockey like slap shot? Isn't that kind of the same golf swing?
Yes, and actually,
I
Steven,
mean, so
you're gonna love this story. This one's for you. The hockey guys. I played with a guy named James Wisnowski. I don't know if you remember him. He played in the NHL for a long time, and we get to like the third hole. I'm playing him in a match one day, and he pulls this thing out of his golf bag, and I'm like, "What is he doing?" He starts blowing into it, and I'm like, "Hey, what is this?" And he goes, "Oh, dude." He goes, "This is my breathalyzer. If I'm at 0.14, I play awesome golf. If I get too high or too low, I don't play as good." And so he literally he goes, "Watch this," and he blows into it and he shows it to me, and it's 0.14. He goes, "Watch how good I'm about to hit this drive." And he gets up there and smokes a drive.
Every
that
shot.
is
The
unbelievable.
the hockey guys are different.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
different.
Yeah.
yeah. Hockey guys. I mean, Canadian people in general are pretty different.
Yeah.
I fit in well up there in Montreal.
Yeah.
Naturally. Naturally.
All right. Football's done. Dad, husband, like what else are you up to? What else does Ryan suck up? I mean, you had a 14-year NFL career. What you up to now?
Just trying to invest into Marco's real estate syndications.
Yeah, you've touched one of them. You've touched one of them.
Yeah, just waiting for Pat to send me some more. Garcia, has he got you in on any yet?
No, he
Yeah.
is not.
Okay.
He's coming soon. He's coming soon.
Okay.
I'm waiting for this Bitcoin to skyrocket. That's what I'm waiting on.
Okay, good. You're probably doing all right right now. It's been
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It has been really good.
Yeah. No, actually, great question, Pat. I'm actually sort of trying to figure it out. I've got some different deals going on. I honestly have been doing a little bit of that. Been doing some different investing and stuff, trying to get my feet wet and learn,
Mhm.
kind of see what I'm interested in. But yeah, playing some golf, coaching all my kids' teams. Just kind of enjoying it right now. I do want to get into something. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like yet. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find something that's like is it enough to wake up, keep you motivated, keep you going? But I also don't want something that like ties you down
Yeah.
where you're missing a lot of kid stuff and in the office all day, so to speak. So it's kind of interesting trying to find what that looks like right now. Haven't quite got it nailed
Don't,
down, but
don't start a podcast then.
just
No, I
keep you guys
I know
busy.
it was.
Are you still hunting a lot or no?
Not a ton. I would like to get back into it. Really haven't hunted that much here in Nashville, just the way the schedule was. But I do. I want to start. Like my oldest son's starting to want to go a little bit. He's asking about it. I want to start taking him and kind of get back into it. But
Doesn't Ben Jones, he hunts all the time, doesn't he?
yeah, so his uncle's got a big place down in Alabama, and we're actually talking about trying to get down there because
Nice.
their deer season goes through January down there. So we actually may get on that pretty soon. But yeah, Ben loves to hunt, and he's awesome, dude. He's up for whatever, golf, hunting, fishing, you name it. He wants to do it all.
Well, we'll have to line something up, get you down to Columbia when Steven comes up, and we yes, we can partake in having some fun, but we also need I need to get after you on a golf course. I'd let Steven ride with you and make sure you drink a lot more and blow a lot higher than 0.14. I think I can take him.
That's the thing, though, Pat. I don't drink on the golf course, man. I'm locked in. I'm there to win, baby. I'm there to win.
You're like Uncle Chris. You're like Uncle Chris.
That's right. That's right, man.
You guys are nuts, man. I can't golf without having at least a beer.
Well,
at least one. I gotta have at least one.
You and Wisnowski, you would be good. You'd be good together.
Oh man, dude. Well, this was a lot of fun. We appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us and reminisce. I'm gonna brainstorm on a few ways to get back at you with pranks. I feel like I feel like I have to after all this.
You better be good because I sniff them out, Pat.
I know you smell bullshit.
Challenge accepted.
I'm coming for you, Mr. Succop, Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
Awesome.
But yeah, we definitely need to link up, man. Ryan, you gotta let us know when you're coming up to a game. I'm gonna try to make it up to a few games this coming year. But
yeah, I want to get back. I'm trying to get back. So that'd be fun. We'll all get together in the fall for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us, dude. I know Gamecock fans, you aren't talked about enough in your impact here as a player, and then kind of like I think you kind of started the special teams change here and having the guys that were here. So appreciate you taking the time, and I know this is going to be an entertaining one. You're like the ultimate storyteller, prankster, and Gamecock Nation knows you for kicking field goals, but now they're going to know you for a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you, boys, for having me on, man. Glad y'all are doing well.
Absolutely, man. Yes, sir.